Welcome back. Last time, we had a great conversation about breaking myths on nutrition, fitness, and mindset blockers. Today, I have someone special who will take us inwards, who will make us understand what is real holistic health mean to us and throw some spotlight on soulful living. Throughout my pageant journey, amidst of all the glows, gowns, great life experience and undeniable, intense moments. There's one person who acted as anchor. While all of us are tangled in stress, she was the one who was very calm, grounded, and comforting all of us. She is my dearest queen sister, one of the title winners of Mrs. Asia Great Britain 2025, founder of Harmonious Way to Health, multi award winning nutritionist, yoga, and meditation trainer, plant based diet speaker, author, and interestingly, a dentist. Please join me in welcoming the beautiful and inspiring Dr. Seema Shah.
Thank you
Welcome,
so
Seema.
much. Thank you.
Welcome, and absolute pleasure to have you today. And thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, Suchi, and thank you for the wonderful introduction. It has been a journey, like you said, going through the pageant, but it's way beyond that. That taught me a lot of tools, and it's all about all of us embracing, supporting, because when queens support each other, we all rise together.
Absolutely. Your journey is so inspiring and interesting. It's so surprising that I want to know, and also I want all the amazing women who are watching our show to know how it all started from dentistry to holistic health and the founder of Harmonious Way to Health.
Thank you so much, Suchi, for asking. And yes, I get asked that a lot from why the transition from dentistry, which is a comfortable profession considering I graduated over 20 years back, to what I'm doing now. But there's always a story. This is what I really love about what you're bringing out as well. So when I was little, I always wanted to be a doctor. But I come from a strict background, so dentistry was the way forward. And solely because back then I was told that dentistry, it's stable hours. We don't have to worry about emergencies at night time or odd hours of work. And for a traditional Indian family, that suited what societal expectations were. But I really wanted to heal people. I wanted to be in the forefront to make a difference from a health and well-being point of view. However, life has taught me a lot. I have been through my own health journey as well as that of my son. And mine started when I was very little. When I was about the age of 7, I was called overweight. And then as I grew up through my teens, I put on more weight. I had cystic acne all the way that I remember from my pre-teens all the way to teens, 20s, even my 30s, and into my early 40s. So a lot of it stemmed from emotional eating. The problem is when I had all those scars and when I was overweight, I got bullied as well. So there's an emotional scar as well as the physical things going on. But it didn't stop there. Later on, I got married. And then, though it wasn't diagnosed, I found out later in life that I had polycystic ovarian syndrome. And in fact, my first pregnancy was an ectopic one, which we didn't know about. That's when it got recognized and diagnosed. And all those symptoms from when I was little, the cystic acne, which was chronic, being overweight, all those were like the cries when I was little, but it wasn't recognized. Though the symptoms were there, it wasn't, the jigsaw pieces weren't put together. And then my son was born, but I had a lot of postnatal depression and anxiety because my first pregnancy wasn't viable. Compounded with that, we found out when our son was about 4.5 months, so I needed to return back to work. So I was weaning him off and introducing the formula milk. So when he would be in nursery, at least that would be a backup plan. He came up in hives all over, and at that tender age, when the allergy tests were done, he came up severe allergies to a lot of things. And it was really heartbreaking. He wasn't settled, he wasn't sleeping well. So as a new mom, I put on a lot of weight. Now I know why, because my sleep was out of whack, my stress levels are way high. I also had chronic depression, postnatal depression as well at that point, because there was a lot going on. Not just in terms of my health and my son, but there was a lot of expectations and societal judgment with everything going on as well. And I didn't know what was going on at that point because I was trying to find myself and my role as a mom and also look after this little one who at that point couldn't speak. So I was always on edge. Is he going to have another allergic reaction when we introduce or wean him to certain foods? What's going to happen? Because he couldn't communicate at a few months old. There was so much that went on, but eventually lotions, potions, all the antihistamines, the EpiPens we constantly had to carry, hospital visits like calling the ambulance. There was one day I cried to myself and I'm like, enough is enough. I have to do something about this because I can't live like that. My life was affected. I was really worried about my son and there was a lot going on. So what I want to say to everyone listening out there is we all have our journey and we all have something to learn from each other out of respect. And this isn't about judgment. What it is about is acknowledging that someday somebody could come to you with stress, but there could be other things going on in their life. Don't take anything personally. And I did. I felt victimized by what was being said to me. But one day I woke up, it was like an awakening and I felt empowered. I need to take my health and that of my family under my own hands. No one's going to come and rescue us. They can help with the acute. It's like a band-aid every time those medications or lotions, potions I use. It wasn't addressing the root cause. And I really wanted to get to that. So in 2017, by that time, I'd qualified and certified as a holistic health coach. I also found yoga and I qualified as a yoga instructor because what I found is my sleep and stress levels were high. That's why I put on a lot of weight after the pregnancy and everything was impacting each other because health is holistic after all. It's not just about the food we eat or the exercise, but there's so many dynamics. And I found Harmonious Way to Health in 2017 when my son was just under 3 years old by then. And the reason for that was because I wanted solutions from a holistic way where I incorporate the wisdom of science from my dental background, but also the ancient wisdom that comes from a lot more than, what you eat, what you basically do in terms of exercise, and all the other interventions from an allopathic point of view. I wanted a mind, body, and soul approach. That's where Harmonious Way to Health came about.
It's very inspiring and so proud of you because anyone who is going through this much pain and I think every woman can relate from this because more or less we all went through that in our own struggles, in our way of, different struggles. But, you have not given up. You have brought the knowledge of science and ancient ways together, which not just helping you to heal, but you're also empowering out many other women to heal, to understand how the holistic health can be a life changing for them. So that is really so proud about you, Seema, because the way you said is not that easy because as a young mother, you yourself going through the pain and also you're seeing your son going through the pain. However, you have that vision, the dream, not just selfish about just yourself, but you're also thinking about others to touch lives, to bring that impact. And that is really interesting. So proud.
Thank you so much.
What does holistic health really mean to us in our daily lives? And how different is this from regular diets and exercise?
Thank you for asking that, Suchi. What a wonderful question. So for me, holistic means whole. It's all about a mind, body, emotional, spiritual connection to health. It's not just about the food we eat. Are we eating clean? Great. Are we exercising consistently in a way that matters to us? Brilliant. The way I say it, health is so much more than that. Like I mentioned, for me, my stress levels were high. and my sleep patterns are out of whack. So what I formed, and the reason the name Harmonious Way to Health, because my slogan is empowering minds, energizing bodies, and enriching souls. Because when we empower our minds, like Harmonious Way to Health was born when I took my power back and I wanted to make a change. I wasn't wanting to live as a victim and delegate my health and that of my son to everyone else around me, but I wanted to take the responsibility of doing something. When we take responsibility for health and well-being, our life is more energized because we live with more joy and more tune with our life. And when that's the case, we are enriched souls. We can live our purpose with passion more because we are happy within, outwards in life as well. So that's the slogan, empowering minds, energizing bodies, enriching souls. But even the word harmony, so the harmonious way to health, every letter of the word harmony, there's a pillar to health. So it's way beyond food and exercise. For example, the first letter H is healthy eating and drinks, because hydration is so underrated as well. A lot of people know about the eating and what means healthy eating to them. But for us, about 60% plus of our body is made out of liquids and water. When we keep hydrated, each and every organ of our body, each and every cell of our body is nourished. We get more mental clarity. Our organs, the kidneys, through sweat and other organs, there's a lot of detoxification pathways through that. We want to be pure and clean within and also emanate outwards. So hydration is really underrated. So I had to put it then with the first pillar. And the second thing is A, that's amazing energy. What makes us feel energized? And I always ask people, what's draining your energy? Make a list of that. It could be people, it could be places, it could be things they're doing. For example, what are people watching, reading, things like that. On the other hand, what is energizing you? What's bringing the zest to life and making one feel uplifted? That to me is an important pillar that's not talked about as often as well. Yeah, and so important because we feel energized when we're living our truth, when we're resonating with who we are authentically. And we all know when we go to places, situations, or around people about the dynamics. We feel a shift. If we're in tune with it and aware of it, are we feeling uplifted and happy? Or are we feeling like our energy is being zapped either quickly or gradually over time? So very important for our health and well-being to conserve our energy, if anything, to uplift ourselves as we go. And then the R, that's for restful sleep. Now, sleep again is underrated, but so important as a pillar of health. And what I realized for myself, because I wasn't sleeping well, my cortisol, which is a stress hormone, levels were high, and I was overweight, especially after my pregnancy, because of that. And when I started sleeping better, it was like I didn't change other aspects as much around that time of my life, but it's almost like the weight, my body structure, it was things that weren't working for me were melting away gradually just because of that one change. So that's R. We've talked about healthy eating and drinking, which is H. Amazing energy, which is the A of harmony. Restful sleep, which is the R. The M is maintaining balance. What are our boundaries? And as women, sometimes it's so easy to say yes to a lot of things, but are we saying a yes to ourselves as well? About self-care, looking after ourselves, and are we saying no to conserve our energies when something doesn't resonate with us? So maintaining that balance, so we are true, we're honoring ourselves. It's like the oxygen in the aeroplanes. You got to first make sure that you are breathing clearly and fluidly before you can give the gift of life, of the breath to others. Because when we feel drained and collapse, we are not good to ourselves and others, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And maintaining balance is all about priorities as well. It's about doing those things that matter. For example, is one's health and well-being a priority in their life? If the answer is yes, then taking proactive steps to make sure there's consistency with their health and well-being patterns, whatever health and well-being means to them. So that's the maintaining balance of the M of harmony. O is overcoming stress. And what I mean by overcoming stress is a little bit of stress, which is called eustress technically, is great. It's the motivating factor which gets us out of bed, gets us to meet our goals, our aspirations, our visions, because if we didn't have that challenge in life, we wouldn't be progressing. So it's eustress, which is the positive stress, which is important. But it's the chronic, unwanted, harmful stress that we want to overcome. So our life is more calm and peaceful. So that's the O of harmony. And then basically like that, I've gone through the pillars. And R, which is the next one, is relationships and nurturing relationships. So the N with the relationships. So nurturing relationships. Who are we nurturing? Are we first nurturing ourselves? Who's the most important in our life? And sometimes we forget that. So I always ask, when I'm talking, and I do a lot of public speaking, who is the most important person in your life? Who do you want the best relationship with? A lot of the time what I hear is people delegating their relationship to somebody or something else, but not focusing on themselves. And I learned that the hard way until I took control of my own health and well-being and empowered my relationship with myself. I didn't realize how important that factor was. So I teach people to nurture their relationships with themselves so they got more to give out to others around them. And we can all tell, Suchi, when somebody's living joyfully and empowered within themselves, we can feel that. But when somebody isn't empowered, then certainly I know, as because I'm very in tune with people's energies and working as a clinician, who's going to be motivated and empowered to take the differences, and also with my coaching clients and yoga students, and who isn't, because you really can feel what their relationship with themselves is and what changes their life will bring as a knock-on effect with that. It's like a cup full. When it's overflowing, we're giving out to others. But when our cup is empty or partially full, we need to empower ourselves with more love, more forgiveness, kindness, and compassion to ourselves. So we're filling that cup to give out to others when it comes to relationships. And the Y is yielding exercises, the word yielding being important, because there's so much out there. This exercise is good, do this, buy this equipment, exercising. But it's not a cookie cutter fit. Everyone's different. Our goals are different, aspirations that we have, our body constitution is different. There needs to be the yielding factor of what works for that individual. So that's the harmony system. And for me, that's holistic health, mind, body, and soul. The body is obvious in terms of foods, exercises, mind, so that amazing energy. Are we meeting our boundaries, maintaining balance in our life? And then the purpose, the joy, and all that comes in the spiritual aspect. But I've combined all of them, so it's one encompassing thing.
I really love this and can't agree more that, I feel like to take this and print it out as my affirmations, if you could give me the permission, because it's actually defining your complete life cycle. You have covered all the areas of life. The one which is more importantly I connect with myself is nurturing relationship with yourself, because that is what was missing all these years. We've been giving lot of space to others. We are trying everything outside than understanding what we are inside. And that self love, setting boundaries, being in a good relationship with ourselves, which was truly missing, and really love that. And also respecting your first pillar. There you go. Hydration.
Yes, I've got that as well. So I've got some chamomile tea that I've made. And what have you got there, Suchi?
I've got a nice lemon water, just for hydration, little salt and just lemon water. Cheers. Yes, really love that. And it's very important to have the balance in life, setting boundaries, hydration. And also, a very good point, what you covered is, buying equipment which we see online, trying different diets, just, reading somewhere, or just because someone is following that will not suit us. Because, as you said, every one of us are so different. So, we need to understand what we really feel ourselves, explore ourselves, understand what is the holistic health for us.
That's so
And
true,
that,
Suchi.
yeah,
Yeah.
and that will bring the real harmony.
Yes, yeah. Because when we live in harmony with our authentic truth, multidimensional, mind, body, soul, what exercises do I enjoy and work for me? What foods are good for me? Because one man's nectar is another man's poison, so to speak, when it comes to food. For example, I can't give my son what he's allergic to, which is highly
Yeah.
allergic to, because that's damaging to his health and well being, while I can eat those foods if they work for me. So we've got to tune in with awareness. If I'm eating something, is it bringing joy? Am I feeling energized and satiated after that? Or do I feel like I need a nap straight away? My energy is zapped, and suddenly I feel like, there are other components. For some people like me when I was younger, because I was eating the wrong things, for me, it was being overweight and the cystic acne.
Mhm.
My physical body was screaming out, things are not working, but I didn't know how to listen to myself, and people around me didn't know what to tune into. But now I know what works for me and what doesn't. And it's all about nurturing ourselves, sometimes just closing our eyes and tuning in. How do I feel after this meal?
Yes.
Am I feeling empowered, energized, and vibrant? Or do I feel like I'm heavier and depleted? Because food is a fuel when it's the correct food. You can't put diesel in a petrol car or petrol in a diesel car, right?
Love that. Yes. Very good example. I
Yeah.
really love that.
Yeah, thank you for
I
asking such an important question.
it's, yeah, I think because this is more relatable, right? Because when it comes to, because I see a lot of videos online about holistic health, and there's so much confusion because every time they speak, it's something very different. So what it really, what it is for us is very important. As a dentist and a plant-based, you know, nutritionist, how do you think food will really not just impacting our physical health, but also the mental clarity and the mood?
Right, thank you. What an interesting question, Suchi. It's not very often people put things together. But dentistry has taught me precision, discipline, and it's given me the tools from a modern science point of view. What I do know from dentistry is food has various effects. For example, the more sugary things people eat, the more prone they are to dental decay. However, we also know sugar affects the brain. So people who got certain eating patterns have less clarity when it comes to their thinking or focus, because there's something called the gut brain axis. What we eat affects our gut flora. If we got happy, like basically we call probiotics and prebiotics is what we eat, but the biome, the microbes in our stomach, which are the friendly bacteria, then they help to create the happy hormones and we got better mood. So serotonin. So there is a link between the gut and our brain, which is called the gut brain axis, which now there's a lot of research, there's a lot of literature out there. And I find that with dentistry as well, the patients who come to me with a better diet don't just have better teeth, but more often than not, their lifestyle and habit factors allow them to have better quality of life as well in the long term. And the other thing is, when it comes to, there's a lot of research done about say conditions like diabetes and how it affects and causes people to be more prone to gum disease and other factors from medical literature and dental literature. So diet not just affects our physical health and mental well-being, but it affects us as holistic beings as a whole. And I found that out more. So dentistry then led to Harmonious Way, which was an expansion. I still work as a clinician because what I learned there, I tried to put things together, and it was like, this is what's happening and what I'm seeing in the mouth. when I'm treating patients. This is what I'm seeing in their personality, on their medical histories. But how is it relating to their mind, body, soul health? What's their mindset like? How is affecting their mental well-being? And a lot of the time, surprisingly, there's parallels. And I'm so glad that the scientific, medical, dental community, there's more and more in our professional journals that's coming through with the holistic link to health and well-being as it links to dental well-being that I read. So yes, the mouth is meant to be the gateway to our health when it comes to our diet and nutrition, but it is a gateway. Beyond that, there's so much more to us. It's not just what we eat. What are we thinking? What are we basically assimilating in life? What I mean by that is there's so much that life throws at us. It's like a sea. What are we taking in? And what are we deciding? No, this isn't for me. I have my boundaries. This is not working for me. And this is what I'm going to welcome into my life. And when we do that, we are empowering our minds, energizing our bodies, and enriching our souls, like I mentioned earlier. So there's that big link all together holistically.
Beautiful. And as you mentioned there about the energies, some food, we just eat. However, after some time, we feel lethargic and slowly the energy drains down. Sometimes you feel so restless. So I think this is something related to the gut and mind connection, what you were telling.
Yes, and also from an ancient kind of wisdom, like for example, Ayurveda. We've got three types of food: tamas, which causes lethargy; rajas, which causes us to get more active in terms of our mind; and then the sattvic foods, which is basically fresh, natural, wholesome foods that agree with us. And having the sattvic foods is generally better for health and well-being. Things which are tamas could be things like alcohol, for example, which basically slows our thinking, pattern, things like that. Things which are rajas, which are things to be avoided as well, are things which are very pungent or strong flavors. So having too much spicy food, for example. And then a lot of spiritual people will avoid things, for example, like non-veg or onions, garlic, things like that, because those evoke certain emotions and thought patterns as far as spirituality is concerned. So what I would say is, if you want more harmony and balance, the way I see combining that with what I do as a health coach, yoga instructor, and also clinician is something that I call slow food, SLOW, which is the acronym for S being seasonal. Mother Nature gives us so much wisdom as to what is in tune from the local land and area, that if we tune into that, we feel nourished. I know because I grow things in my garden, so herbs and berries and things like that. And when I eat a few berries in the summer, it makes me feel so full, like I've had a whole meal, because it's in tune with the season from my local land, with the energy of the land. And when I use herbs in quantities for the food I make, I really feel the energy of it, because it's lovingly looked after and kind of grown, and it's all organic from my gardens. I really feel the shift. It's fresh rather than from a packet or a bag. So that's slow, eating seasonally. So L is local, like I mentioned, because we're not just supporting the local ecological contribution to the food. What are the farmers growing? Are they growing it ethically, organically, in small batches to cater for our population? Because if they're growing it locally, it has to be according to season. If it's traveling a lot of air miles, it's not seasonal for us. Especially, we're both based in the UK, so I know there'll be people worldwide listening. But in the UK, there's specific things that grow because we got 4 major seasons here. And then O is organic. Now, we don't have the luxury to necessarily get everything organic. So one thing I teach my coaching clients is it's a website which is free. It's a resource. It's called the Environmental Working Group. And the website is ewg.org. Now, it's a charity organization which every year basically has a list of what they call Dirty Dozen and Clean 15. So the dirty dozen are the foods with the most pesticide residues. Ideally, those are the things we want to buy organic if our budget allows. The clean 15 are the things with the least pesticide residues. So those are the things, if we eat conventionally, they don't have as much pesticides or residues on them. Just to put things into context, it's those things that rot quickly. For example, strawberries or the salad greens. Those would generally be in the dirty dozen because they don't have a long shelf life, so they're sprayed heavily to increase their shelf life. The clean 15 would generally be things with a hardy skin that can stay at room temperature, so they don't necessarily need to be in the fridge for a longer time. So things which are generally in the clean 15 year on year would be things like, say, avocados or pineapples, those things that the insects wouldn't want to get into. It's too tough for them, so they target the other foods like strawberries, which rot easily, or salad greens where you can get the slugs through them and things like that. So that's just a tip. So slow, S seasonal, L local, or organic where possible, especially the things with high pesticide residues. And then W is wholesome. So when we eat from that, our energy is already in a higher state. For example, if we eat a whole fruit, I'll just give an example of an apple just to keep things simple. Because in the UK especially, apples are available all year round of different types. So eating a whole apple has got fibers and lots of nutrients compared to having apple juice, which spikes the sugar levels more because the fiber's been removed. Yes, it will have nutrients, especially if it's freshly juiced. Of course, if it's bottled, even if it says from fresh, the nutrient level decreases. Yes. As opposed to having, for example, a dessert made out of apple, an apple pie, because that's got sugar added, possibly like if it's got pastry, it's got other additives to it. Right. So having a whole apple, as nature provides, is a better option than something like an apple juice or a dessert made out of apple. So just to say wholesome is as nature provides as much as possible.
Wonderful. And I agree to that. And it's I really loved the way you categorize like seasonal, that slow thing. It is, I think I need a separate master class on this because I really want to make the notes. Yeah. Seriously, because it's so much knowledge you carry that. And
thank you.
I was not even aware of, I was not even aware of this clean list and dirty list. And of course, I need a personal master class so that we will really understand when we really pick, because when we feel like we are eating a clean diet, but sometimes, as you said, we are ending up eating heavy pesticides and heavy. It's not organic, but it's more of chemical. So it's very important to know all these. That's very helpful, Seema. Thank you.
You're welcome, and you're so right, Suchi. Sometimes with our best intentions, we feel we're eating healthy because that's what we know as healthy. But is it really healthy? What's the nutrient level if it's traveled multiple air miles, like thousands of air miles to get to us? A lot of the time picked before it's ripe and then artificially ripened before we even see it. A lot of the time it's either waxed, for example, if it's a citrus fruit like lemon, or it's in a plastic bag, or it's in a container. Of course, the pesticides and all the other levels of it. So there's so many dynamics before even it reaches us that, and it's mind-boggling, but definitely we can do a separate talk all about food, how it's there, and the dynamics and energetics of food.
Yes, that will be really helpful. One more thing which is popping in my mind, I understand food is a personal choice. There's nothing to offend here, but people often who are eating non-veg, they kind of show pity on us who are like vegetarian, or if you're a vegan, we are kind of, but is that a fact that they are eating more protein, they are eating more vegetarian and vegan, we are lacking in protein? What is the justification, we can actually give to people who are sympathizing us?
Thank you so much. And I've always been brought up vegetarian. In fact, my parents, grandparents, as far as I remember, through the chain of generations. Yeah. it's been vegetarian, but we're still surviving as a family and as a species. And in the UK, there hasn't been a documented case of protein deficiency for over a decade, because every green, fruits, vegetable, everything's got little levels of protein. The only thing studies show is that some lean protein, which comes from animal sources, is more complete in terms of the amino acids, which is the building block of proteins, compared to plant-based sources. So for plant-based sources, for those of people who have the supplements and they have the different things, they sometimes know that, for example, a plant protein source will have pea protein and hemp protein and various other things together, because different products have got slightly different amino acids and they combine together to give a more complete profile. So yes, plant sources have protein, but it's not a complete protein in a lot of instances. Saying that, I know of a lot of plant-based athletes and celebrities who are thriving and showing good muscle definition and things like that. So when clients come to me and they're like, how will I get my protein? I have got a list of lentils, legumes, and other things with the proteins. And also what I say to them, just to put things into perspective, is elephants, rhinoceros, hippopotamus, like some of those, especially like elephants and rhinoceros, which I grew up in East Africa, so around them, those are herbivorous animals. They're the strongest, biggest animals in a lot of instances, and they eat plant-based material. They're still thriving. They're very muscular.
Yes.
Yeah, to put things into perspective, and I've never felt that I lack protein. It's just that as a mainly plant-based, I do eat vegetarian food from time to time, but most days I'm plant-based. I just need to be careful of the proportion of carbohydrates that I have alongside the greens and other things. So just to put things into perspective, but now I know what works for me, so I know how to adjust and balance that. I hope.
Wonderful answer. Love that, Seema. Thank you. Seema, as we are discussing on the food, and you are also a meditation expert, so I want to understand what are those foods which will activate the chakras.
Thank you so much for asking that. So food is information. There's so much innate wisdom in food, our seasons, and our rhythms of life. And chakras, for those of you who don't know, it literally is a Sanskrit word which translates as a wheel, which is a circle. And chakras are energy vortices in our body. They're linked to endocrine systems, which are hormonal systems, and linked, there's 7 major ones linked to our spine. There are other minor chakras, like chakras in the hands. That's why a lot of healers use their hands, ear chakras, and various other ones. But let's focus on the 7 major one, which goes from the base of our spine to the top of our head, and what foods are linked to those. And I'll give you some example. So let's start with the season of autumn and winter. That season teaches us all about grounding, about connecting and drawing inwards, connecting to Mother Earth, slowing down. Now, when we have those seasons, we get more root vegetables, carrots, beets, like all the other things that grow underground, like sweet potatoes. A lot of these foods are high in beta carotene. They've got pigments, like a lot of them got red, orange pigments as well. That is great for the root chakra, because that season and the food which is grown within the earth is very grounding. The root chakra is all about grounding. And when something comes from underneath the earth and within the earth, it's of course grounded and has got the energy of grounding. So eating more root vegetables to nourish our root chakra is really helpful, because we get energetics. Like when we eat salads, we feel different from when we eat root vegetables, or when we eat sweet fruits. They evoke different emotions, taste buds. So the root chakra, which is to do with our safety and security and feeling grounded and stable, root vegetables, especially the red and orange ones, are the right ones to go for. Then our sacral chakra. So root chakra is at the base of our spine, our tailbone. The sacral chakra is basically between our navel and the tailbone. So for women, it's where the reproductive organs would be. It's to do with The root chakra is called Muladhara, which Mula literally means root in Sanskrit. The sacral chakra is Swadhisthana, Swadish, tasty,
Taste.
delicious, exactly.
Yeah.
Why? It's all about our sensual experience in life, our flow, our creativity, our pleasure in life. And it's also to do with the water element. So what we want is more of the orange foods, which is the color of the sacral chakra, but the watery orange foods. So the dense orange foods like carrots and sweet potatoes and things, great for the root chakra. Also help the sacral chakra, but things like citrus fruits like oranges, satsuma,
Orange.
watery orange things, great for the sacral chakra. And most people feel uplifted and creative. Like it's all the psychology of all these fragrances that we see in supermarkets, or the scents like essential oils and things. We are transported to an uplifted place, more creative flow when we smell citrus fruits automatically. It reminds us of the Mediterranean climate a lot of the time. So that's to do with the sacral chakra. The watery orange foods especially are great for that. Then the solar plexus chakra, which is called the Manipur chakra. Mani means a gem. Because when we take our own power back, we find the gem in our life. What is our purpose? What do we stand for? Who are we? And it's linked to the yellow color. It's linked to our digestive system, and it's linked to our immunity as well. So, not surprisingly, things like ginger, turmeric, those kind of things, even lemons, lime. So all those things got coughs and colds. What do we reach out for from a traditional point of view? Great for our Manipura solar plexus chakra and to empower ourselves. Those are also things which are warming, like the ginger and all that, because it's the digestive Agni, the fire, helps with the metabolism and immunity. So those are great foods for digestion as well. Then we go to heart, which is the Anahat chakra. Anahat means unstruck. Because when we've got equanimity, when we've got self-love, when we come to a place of self-forgiveness, because we only do things as we know best in that moment. There is no mistakes, it's learnings. We have to acknowledge and be kind to ourselves, because what's done is done. Why dwell on it and spend another moment on it? Focus on the now. How did I learn from that to get to where I am now, and where do I want to go so I can make this present moment count? So that's unstruck. And that, the color of the heart chakra when it comes to foods, the greens really empower it. So the heart chakra is more like, say, the summer season. And it's all about, and daffodils, the yellow flowers, is more like the Manipur chakra. So it's like the spring kind of is springing back and taking our power back. By the time we get to heart chakra, it's like summer. And heart chakra is also linked to the mother, maternal kind of course, it's linked to love through every being, but it's to do with the color of Mother Earth as well. Most of Mother Earth, it's either, the water and the sea, and the land itself is mainly green as a dominant color. So green foods like the salad greens, great for the heart chakra. And that's why a lot of people like to eat salads intuitively in the summer weather as well, because that's the energy of the heart chakra as well. And then the throat chakra, it's called Vishuddha, which means purified. Because when we live our authentic truth and speak our authentic truth, that's to do with our throat chakra. And that's why I'm wearing blue today as well, because blue is the color of the throat chakra, and I'm speaking today. So, and the green, that's the heart chakra behind me. So it's just bringing the dynamics of all that from health and well-being as well.
Wonderful.
Thank you. So foods which are excellent for the throat chakra are things like blueberries, those foods which have got the blue pigments in them. Also liquids, things which soothe our throat. Hydration is also very key for the throat chakra as well. So yes, all those things, lavender tea as an example. So anything like that which has got the blue purple pigments are great for the throat chakra. Mint is another one. Yes, it is green, but anything we use for colds and coughs and throats and the nasal sinuses, that's all linked to the throat chakra. So think about, peppermint, spearmint. Think about all those other things, berries which are high in immunity, great for the throat chakra as well to work with those dynamics. And then The third eye chakra, that's called the Agnya chakra, which literally means command. It's all about tuning into our inner wisdom, our intuition. So our life isn't just led by logical mind, but it's also linked to our intuition. And when people say, "Oh, I've got this gut feeling about something," it's all about intuition. There's a link between our logical mind, which is to take our power. Who are we? What do we represent? To do with our solar plexus, but linked to our intuitive mind as well. Because
And we call it as third eye, isn't it?
yeah,
That's why we call as third eye.
yeah, and that's why in a lot of tradition they actually use basically like a bindi, a tika, all that, and it's
Yes.
nowadays you get those sticker ones with the glue, but traditionally they used to give a little press and
Yes.
use specific powders, be it sandalwood and things like that, because all those natural powders, be it kukum, like or hibiscus flower powder and things like that, everything had a different energy about that. And pressing it lightly, activating the third eye chakra, but the third eye is linked to our intuition. So again, foods for that. And you might have heard about the cacao ceremony or cocoa, which is the raw chocolate, 100%. So it's not the one with sugar or milk, but it's the cocoa plant with
Yeah.
the seeds and the powder, so 100%. And then people make a ceremonial drink out of it. And this
Uh-huh.
heightens the intuition and the spiritual connection. So that is linked to the third eye crown chakra axis. So dark chocolate, for example,
Yeah.
but it has to be good quality dark chocolate. And when you get to a point where one is more aware from a dynamics point of view, one automatically feels like they want to reach for, as an example for me, I'll reach for, say, fair trade or good, and I just need a little piece. I can feel the energetics of it because I'm conscious about where it's coming from and the dynamics of it, because that's all I need intuitively. So that's great. The cacao drink, which is the ceremonial drink, also known to activate the third eye chakra and intuition. So that works really well. Also, blueberries work well as well because of the pigments in it as well. And then the crown chakra, that's to do with our so the third eye chakra, Agnya command, and then the crown Sahasrara, which is 1,000-petaled lotus. It's unity consciousness. So we're moving from the lower chakras about our safety from I through the bridge of the heart to we. So what we're doing today through our voice, it's we. How are we sharing our knowledge, our thoughts to everyone out there? Because we want to empower the collective. So when we get to our crown chakra, Sahasrara, one thing which is excellent, and that's why it's used in traditions like the Indian tradition, is the coconut, because it's said our blood plasma, which is the liquid part of our blood, and coconut water have got a very similar composition, and that is nectar in itself. And every part of the coconut is used in some way or the other. That's a really good food for the
Crown chakra.
yeah. But the main thing is tune in to what works for you. If you eat root vegetables, do you feel a bit more grounded, maybe a little more relaxed, and like you're just more composed and less active, especially in your mind? And when you eat things like mint, do you feel uplifted? Is it activating the higher parts? If you're having something like lemon or something citrus, is it giving you the zest in life, like the confidence, the motivation to get ahead and do something from the solar plexus axis? So it's all about being aware and observing at the same time as well. But I hope that answers it.
Wonderful explanation. So much science behind this. I'm not sure how many of us are aware of it. So it would be helpful if you can literally give me a list of all kinds, a summary of this, so that I can put it under the description, and it will be helpful for all the viewers as well. Because
Sure.
so much knowledge about it, and half of my life, I'm regretting that I'm not even aware of the what vegetables you have to eat, what things you have to eat for all these chakras. I have attended some chakra sadhana and all long time back, but I don't think that really made any difference. And it's so proud of you that you carry so much knowledge, and the way you explain is so scientifically, and it's not just like doing the chakras and all, not just ancient, but also the scientific science you're bringing. That is really helpful, Seema.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
so much. And I think it's the wisdom from being a clinician through the
Yes,
science and bridging that with the ancient wisdom through
yes,
training as a yoga instructor, holistic health coach, and the other things I'm doing. And also, I'm very intuitive. So, a lot of it has come through as well, through my own journey, my observations and awareness as well. But yeah, definitely happy. Maybe we could do a whole thing on chakras at some point because there's just so much to it beyond food and chakras. So
yes,
yeah.
yes. I think today is like a very generic one, but I would like to do, a single sessions on these things as you mentioned, because this is very helpful, and not sure how far these will be covered on academics and in daily life. So it's so important to carry that before we dump something and just eat. The knowledge you carry will define you.
Thank you so much.
Wonderful. What's the biggest misconception about meditation, and how can you help us? Because for me, meditation is something which is impossible. At least for 2 minutes, 3 minutes, I try. I rather sleep or I quit. How can you really help with us?
Thank you so much, Suchi. And meditation is sometimes construed as a heavy word that somebody who's very spiritual and advanced can practice. But the truth is, we can't stop our thoughts because the mind's job is to think. And it's a survival thing as well because it's not just our conscious thoughts, it has to keep us alive and survive. So there will be background thoughts in the subconscious as well, which is linked to, say, our breathing, our heart beating, and all that. So we can't stop completely. But what the aim of meditation is so that we're not attached and grasped onto every thought that comes our way, which overwhelms us or makes us feel stressed. The aim of meditation is to calm our mind. So we're acknowledging we've got these thoughts. How do we slow it so we've got time to reflect on it and have that equilibrium so we're neither really attracted to the thought or averse. Basically, we don't like or dislike it too much. We're just observing it. It quietens our mind, so we're coming from a harmonious place to observe things. So the myth I see a lot of the time is I can't stop thinking. But our mind has to think. It's our survival thing, even if it's background subconscious thinking. And if we stop thinking altogether subconsciously and consciously, could be unconscious, which really isn't the aim
Unconscious.
of meditation. So, yes, and another myth I come across is I don't have 10, 15, 20 minutes to meditate. And some sadhanas or meditations are over half an hour to even over an hour. For overwhelmed, busy people, sometimes that's not even an option and they give up before they start because of the time that it takes. Sometimes it's not conducive to everyone's lifestyle, including mine. So for me, meditation means even if I can get 2 to 5 minutes here or there, how can I focus and quieten my thoughts? So one thing I do if I'm driving and I want to calm down against the chaos of everything going on is something called box breathing, because our breath connects our mind with our body. And meditation doesn't always have to be seated in a particular place, in a particular posture with our eyes closed. There could be
Yeah.
different ways somebody meditates. For example, walking meditation. One could walk being conscious of every step they're taking, being in the now moment. That's what meditation is. I have got
Wow.
this moment. What are my reflections? What am I observing? And while walking, do I notice that butterfly or that flower? Can I see the sun? Is the breeze there? So it's those subtle observations which are basically bringing us to the present moment. And like I mentioned in the car, so mine is box breathing. So breathing in for a count of 4, pausing, breathing out for a count of 4, and then pausing. Because for me, when I focus on the count 1, 2, 3, 4, and the breath, any scatter distractions or anything bothering me dissipates because that's my focus, the count and the breath. And that helps when there are situations like when I'm driving and it's, a little chaotic out there, or traffic or congestion. Other ways of meditation, especially for people that find it's difficult to focus and quieten their mind, is guided visualizations as well. So finding something that tunes in with them. In fact, Suchi, my YouTube channel has got a few, like a sleep relaxation one, mindful eating one, and a few other ones as well, which are a few minutes. But anything that resonates, which are a few minutes, or even a music that you like, that can help. And for some people, doing a hobby, interest, so painting, drawing, writing, that is meditative. They are in the flow with joy. They
Wow.
with clarity. Their life is uplifted. And one which is really important for women, and it's linked to meditation to a certain aspect, but also to our health and well-being, is embodiment. What embodiment is? Movements that come organically. So it's not a structured exercise or a dance sequence necessarily, but just tuning in, putting in a music and saying, which part of my body wants to move? How does it want to move? What is it teaching me? Have I got tension on my shoulders, for example? Is my lower back trying to teach me something? Are my knees feeling a bit stiff? What movements do I organically need to release things that don't serve my highest good as well? So there are various ways one could think of meditation in the modern day and world, so that they can incorporate those 2 to 5 minutes here and there that works for them.
My God, you totally redefined meditation for me, because I was always thinking I have to sit in a posture, do that yoga posture, close your eyes, right? And I always give up. But this is so eye opener for me that, so as you defined, I think dance is my meditation. So I put on my music, I just relax, I feel so stress free, and organically, a rhythm will be absorbed by my body. So I think that is kind of meditation, as you said. What I loved is you cannot avoid thoughts. So do not run from them.
It's true.
But do not get impacted. Just be an observer. I really love that. And yeah, it totally redefined.
Yeah, definitely. It's like, imagine like an eagle. It's the eagle's eye view. So it's a bit like that with meditation. Okay, so this is going on. I can observe it. It's going on, but not being attached that I'm involved in that necessarily. It's, yes, I acknowledge it from a factual point of view, this is going on. Do I want to react to it? Do I want to detach to it? And if I'm going to react, which direction do I want to take? So it's all about giving us that space and the pause to really basically detach from the situation. And I hope that works. Yes, there is traditional meditations and sadhanas, and if it works for you, if you're listening to this, great, by all means carry on. But this is for the modern person who's busy, overwhelmed, who doesn't have those pockets of time or is not at that state. So these are a few tips for you out there.
Wonderful. So I think everyone who is viewing this, do not say that meditation is not my thing. Because whatever you're doing, you're enjoying. That is your meditation. So keep doing that. So I love dancing. You love something else. So please do not say, I'm not meditating. I don't know how to do this. It's too boring. No, things what you're doing, what you organically enjoy, that is meditation for you. Thank you, Seema.
You're welcome.
While we are on that topic, so for many busy women, what is your simplest 5-minute practice?
Well, thank you so much for asking. And yes, 5 minutes, what a beautiful amount of time where there's enough time to reset, but it doesn't feel like it's taking over one's life. So for me, my 5 minutes practice would be in the morning, because I know spending those 5 minutes will add productive hours to my day. And I do 5 simple steps, a minute each, to enrich that. So I'll share those, and hopefully to inspire some of you to incorporate some of these 5 steps, or find your 5 steps, or even if it's 1 to 3 steps, but devoting about 3 to 5 minutes to find your Zen in the morning or in the evening, depending on your schedule, so you can get more out of life in a joyful way. So the first thing that I do when I wake up for the first minute is I observe my breath. Our existence as humans, born, started with our first breath. Our last breath will define us. But the quality of that breath really matters. So slow, conscious breath in. And as I breathe in, I feel a lot of peace and gratitude. And as I breathe out, it's like a devotion to myself that I let go of that which doesn't serve my highest and greatest good. And I focus on that for about a minute until I feel grounded and composed. And sometimes, depending on how I feel, I'll even do it while I'm lying down in bed, just focus on my breath. So I'm accepting more gratitude. And as I let go, I'm letting go of that which doesn't serve me. And then once I've done that and I feel like I've balanced myself with the first stage, the next minute I'll spend is thinking about 3 things in my life in that particular moment that I'm doing this practice that I'm truly grateful for. It could be the small things like waking up today, facing yet another day, or it could be something big like I'm really grateful for this particular aspect of my life. But even those small things count, because when we adopt an attitude of gratitude, we manifest more, we attract more of that in our life. So I go further. So what's the 3 things and why am I grateful for those 3 things? And once I've done that and I'm happy with that, so breathing and then gratitude, then for me, I'll do some very simple stretches for 1 to 2 minutes. So do I need to just adjust and roll back my shoulders? Do they feel a bit stiff? Do I just need to take some hip circles? Because is that what's helping to mobilize my lower chakras and just align me? What movement is my body asking for? Do I just need to take a stretch to one direction and then to the other direction? What does my body call out for? Do I just want to put my hands in prayer position and just focus on the pressure points? So that prayer position, basically, each of our fingers are linked to different elements as far as the, yogic wisdom is concerned. We basically using those pressure points and harmonizing our body with the palms as well. And if you put it at our heart center with the thumbs touching, we're basically balancing our mind, body, soul, because there's hand reflexology, just like feet reflexology that we're inducing. So what do I need in terms of stretches and composing from physical movement and like gestures, mudras? So that's the third thing. I'll basically focus on my breath, felt more relaxed, and then I focus on gratitude, so I feel more joyous, and then I'm focusing on stretching the movement to mobilize myself. And then the next thing in yoga, it's called sankalpa, which means what is the intention? So I always set an intention for that day, and it could be anything simple. So it could be an affirmation or a word of the day. So for example, the word of the day could be empowered. So how do I present myself in an empowered way today? What difference can I make to myself in terms of self-care and nurturing, and how can I bring it out to others around me? Can I, for example, if I'm working in the clinic, empower a patient to make a positive change? If I'm working as a health coach or a yoga instructor, what one shift can I make that will improve their health and well-being? So it's all about what the word of the day is, or an affirmation. For example, an affirmation could be, I forgive myself radically. So that's to do with the heart chakra. So if I, for example, felt overwhelmed and I wanted to just be at peace with myself, that could have been one that I would be working on. But it's what matters that day, and what energy do I want to bring out and forth in that day for myself and others. So that's the 4th one. And then the 5th one varies sometimes, but sometimes I try and do Surya Namaskars, which is sun salutations, because those movements will basically cause back bends, forward bends, and it will mobilize. So sun salutations activate all the chakras and our energetics physically, mentally, emotionally, because each chakra is linked to an emotional anchor. So it could be a couple of sun salutations, which basically help to activate. And I focus on the breath as I'm doing them. And sometimes even add other affirmations. Each chakra has got an affirmation that resonates with me, or any that resonates, a new affirmation linked to that chakra. And maybe something we can talk about in a future talk, because there's just so much to this.
Yes.
Or it could be just something as simple as, I feel I need a bit more hydration, and I'll lovingly prepare a herbal tea or warm lemon water or something like that. And I'll just consciously take a minute to enjoy that, every sip of it. So the fifth one, I leave open to whatever I need that day. But that's 5 minutes of reset for every morning.
Excellent, Seema. I really love this. And I think it's very important for every one of us to have our own start of the day routine. For example, I've kept one rule that I will never start my day with phone. So first 1 hour, just phone away. I just, as you said, I reflect, I show gratitude, and I just think, okay, what is today? What is up for today? And acceptance, gratitude, more or less. But yeah, it all always depends on what your soul is feeling like. But thank you so much, that's really helpful.
Thank you. And it's amazing what you're doing. So, one thing I want to add is sometimes the fifth one could be a few moments of journaling as well. So, some days I feel like writing, other days I feel like the sun salutation sequence, some days I feel like hydrating. So, the fifth one, I let my intuition and energy guide me to what would make the most impact for that particular day.
Wonderful. How do you personally recharge when it gets a bit overwhelming for you? Because as humans, we cannot avoid certain situations, they are literally overwhelming. So any tips can you share with us?
Thank you. And what an important question, because we've just got so much out there at our disposal, be it digital or be it, impact with people in the fast pace of life, that sometimes we get overwhelmed. Our nervous system is there for our safety, survival, and basically to live life but in a joyous, peaceful way. And when we overload it, it can get overwhelming. So let's start with what is stress. Is defined as a sudden biological change. So it could be a change that makes us feel, for example, very cold or very hot physically. It could be a change that moves our state of emotion suddenly. So we're happy one moment and we feel threatened the next moment. And we feel like we want to either flight, freeze, or there's one called phone, where we want to kind of be within a crowd and do what the rest are doing rather than kind of stand within our ground, even if we're the only one. So the various states of that and various precipitation. So the idea is, and like I mentioned earlier, use stress, which is a positive stress, is important. But overwhelm, anxiety, depression, all those things, and I can talk from my own experience, like I was talking about postnatal depression, all those come from basically the imbalance between our sympathetic, which is our active part of our nervous system, and the parasympathetic, which is the relaxing part of our nervous system. So basically, our central nervous system has got the activity part, which we need to adapt, to make changes, but we do need to calm down and relax. And when the sympathetic takes over in a chronic way, that's when we get physical, mental, emotional imbalances and issues like tightened kind of muscles, tension. Sometimes the heart rate goes up, people feel like they're sweating more, emotional, changes, especially the negative, or what we perceive as negative emotions. And personally, for me, there's no negative emotion. It's just our body teaching us that something needs to change. But the way society construes certain emotions as being negative. But the idea is, how do we compose ourselves into a harmonious state so we're not overwhelmed by all that? So what is anxiety? Is feeling ungrounded from an energetic point of view. It's like thoughts are faster. The body language is a little more flustered. How do we dampen our immune system, our nervous system to our favor without being over, because when the immune system is overloaded as well, that's where I learned from my son's journey, a lot of allergies, a lot of other precipitations happen as well, because it's working faster and there's an overload. So we want an equilibrium where it's in balance. So the idea of that is to do certain techniques. One of them is a breathing technique that helps ground, and also visualization. So for me, it's deep breathing where I feel I'm breathing all the way from my nose right to my abdomen. So it's deep breathing where I can feel my abdomen expand. And then as I breathe out, I feel like basically the air is coming all the way and out. And it's slow, conscious breaths until I feel grounded. The other thing is feet flat to the ground. So if you're standing, even better. If you can do it outside where you're basically connecting to Mother Earth directly, that's good. But if possible, visualizing that you're connected to the middle, the core of Mother Earth, like the roots going down to the middle of the earth, which is helping to make one feel stable and safe. So that's for people whose minds are all over time and overrunning, and they feel overwhelmed. There's just so much and they feel anxious. The other way is depression, where it's procrastination. People can't get things done because they're stuck. They're overwhelmed, but in a different way, where they don't want to even sometimes start doing the projects that they've got, or they don't feel motivated. So for that, there are other techniques. It's all about feeling empowered. And one thing that really helps when I feel like that is just adjusting my posture straight away. Because when you feel the heart chakra open and the shoulders back, it's automatically an empowering posture. Core tucked in if possible. And of course, it depends whether you're seated, things like that. But the idea is to feel empowered rather than that kind of posture, which unfortunately a lot of people with depression carry a lot of tension on the shoulders, the head is down, and it's not in optimum position. So it's one thing, adjusting the posture. The other thing is being mindful when it comes to who we associate ourselves with. Is a situation, a person, a place causing these shifts on a regular basis? Is it conducive to your health and well-being? Is there a way to avoid that if it is not working towards your health and well-being? And I know it's difficult. It could be a work situation or a family member or something. So sometimes it's difficult, but it's all about knowing and acknowledging what is causing those differences in the first place to our energetics. Is it dampening our energy, making us feel less vibrant? Or is it increasing our energies and making us feel vibrant? If it's making us feeling damp, one of the things that I like is like an energetic bubble around me. What it is, I feel a light connecting from above, like a white rainbow or radiant light, literally connecting, and it's like energizing every cell of my body, and then it's kind of going around me. So some people call it the prana, the aura, the other things, so the life force around me, and it's protecting the whole of not just the physical me but my energy around me as well. And I feel so good because I'm bathing myself in what I feel is an energy that is cleansing me. It's giving me a few moments to refocus, put things into perspective. So I'm not reacting, I'm observing it, and at the same time saying what's the best way for my highest and greatest good. And sometimes it takes a while to come to solutions, but at least it's quieting my mind and making me feel empowered. If anything needs to be journaled, I also use that. And sometimes it's sometimes called a release exercise. You write a letter or your thoughts if you can't talk to somebody or regarding something as an example, or solve something by the way of communicating that ideally you'd like to. So I sometimes write things and then I lovingly release it. So it's either basically there's a ritual where I'll either burn it and just let it go.
Yeah.
Or I'll basically cut it.
Yes.
And then bury it on the ground it's just a release. For me, I've said it out, I've expressed myself through writing, sometimes even speaking, but if I can't speak something directly to somebody, but I'll let it go. It's not stuck within me. I made peace with it, I released it in my own way. So whatever works for you, is it like just getting rid of something with writing? Is it
Yeah.
having that honest conversation, a respectful, honest conversation, rather than pinpointing to another? It's about, I feel like this about this situation rather than you made me feel this way. So it's all about knowing how to word things.
Yeah.
So it's coming from a neutral zone rather than a reactive zone. But yes, it does take a bit of time. But above all, a lot of the time I resort to grace and prayer as well. Because for me, that connection where I can express gratitude and surrender in faith really helps me to reduce my overwhelm as well to a greater extent. Because I'm only human, I make mistakes, there's only so much I know. But when I surrender in faith, sometimes a lot of solutions come automatically.
Really inspiring. And I think this is, I've heard like some people even telling that journaling is the way that you remove. So if you do not like something, just write it down. As you said, some people will burn, you just tear it into pieces, and then so much of release. And yeah, I think it's very helpful when we follow a few things so that we keep ourselves grounded, getting that balance. It's very important in our busy lives, and we cannot avoid. So I'm not telling that we are enlightened. We cannot get overwhelmed. Yes, I do get stressed. Yes, I do see overwhelming situations, but I know how to come back. And that's what the resilience means. So thank you so much. That's really helpful today, Seema. Really great
So
conversation.
much. Thank you, Suchi, for having me. And thank you for all the listeners, all the viewers. Thank you so much. And I'm sure both Suchi and I would love comments, any questions you have, and any suggestions of future topics you'd like us to cover together. So thank you so much for that.
Thank you so much for watching. And that is all for today. I think everyone can relate most of the topics what we have discussed. And thank you for Seema for some great knowledge and insights about holistic health, meditation, chakras, food. And I will give all the details under the description. And if you want to comment down the detailed topics, you can comment here. Otherwise, you can directly contact Seema for more personal sessions. And she is already doing some master classes and she got her own online trainings. So please feel free to contact her. Thanks for watching.